Hi everyone, this is Francisco. Anyways, I'm recording this video because guess what? I'm thinking about the bubble generator idea again. And I thought of it's kind of like I can envision like a volcano, kind of. And basically, it will be filled with balls. The balls will have magnets or something like that. Maybe they would have to be like cylinders. But I kind of seen a lot of balls. And I don't know if I talked about this or not. But technically, they will be running similar to a conveyor belt. So they will get fed from the top of the water. They'll drop down. Then they will enter the conveyor belt idea. And then once they like it'll be one at a time that gets released and then it'll float all the way to the top. Kind of like a rocket. At the top, it will be an extension for previous balls that have reached the top to for the water to drain off of them. And then as another one gets raised to the top or rises to the top or floats to the top, I should say floats. As it floats to the top, now what will happen is it will naturally, drop the other balls that have been up there, that have been dried, kind of semi dry. And those balls will fall and they'll re enter the conveyor belt. But I was thinking this thing could run all day long. um, and I even thought about something about this kind of with a turbine with like a stepping generator that will remove water from one tank into a separate tank. Once that gets filled, it'll go to the next tank while generating electricity. Um, because, you know, all of us in the world, we want to use um, our phones, our televisions. We all want AC, but we don't stop to consider what people have to do in order to keep these machines in working operation mode 24/7. Year round. So this is another idea that I was inspired to talk about, kind of visualizing the Faraday flashlight. So it would technically be like someone going bowling, right? The ball gets tossed into the thing to draw, and then like the user, the player, they throw the ball in there, hoping to drop all the little things there, and then that bowling ball comes right back up to the top. That's the same kind of concept that I'm talking about. Instead, the balls will have air in them, so as soon as they get released into the water, it'll be like a kind of like a weapon, like a bullet. You know, once one bullet is released out of the chamber, then the next one is right there. Once that one gets shot out, the next one's right there. So in the same way, it will be a sequence. It could be timed, whatever. It could be programmed. It will throw one ball. It will generate electricity as it's floating all the way to the top, and the magnet or magnets are going through the copper coils all the way to the top. Then you know, maybe they could even go down a slide. Yeah, so technically they don't even have to like fall down randomly somewhere. They could just go on a slide that will go all the way back down to, back to the conveyor belt, type of thing. And this type of generator can run 24/7, um, just about anywhere in the world. So I'm trying to think about everything here, like all the possibilities or whatever. Um, because we understand, all of us in the world, we understand that there has to be some form of vacuum for this to work, or else um, when a new ball is introduced into the chamber or cylinder, whatever the magnets, whenever they're introduced into the chamber, it has to open up a door of some sort. And then once it's sealed or whatever, then that air pocket is gonna shoot up to the top. Um, so we would have to think about how that would work. because technically the water level could be even. You see what I'm saying? It could be even on two chambers. One will cycle them over to where they will be floating up. The ones that have floated up will fall back to this chamber. But what's going to cause them to cycle through? And not just that, but if they're filled with air, then it's going to require energy for that to happen, which will technically defeat the purpose. But, I think it's a great concept if we could figure it out. Okay, let's think about the opposite effect. So, what will happen then? So, if we think about it, the opposite effect, then technically, instead of the balls floating, they would sink. Or simply fall from kind of like a tower. They will fall from the top down the tube, and then something has to pick them back up for them to fall again. It's similar to a waterfall, but we all know that a waterfall just keeps on feeding the water. It just keeps on. The water never runs out, never runs dry. Like Niagara Falls, for instance. So, how would this work? Anyone? A little help here? So, what I'm thinking is maybe there could be, some form of like elevator, um, like kind of like trailers. So when the balls fall, the magnets fall, they'll get stacked into the trailer. Once the trailer gets filled, And as it's going up, more balls will continue falling from a different trailer. That's all I can really think of. If we're talking about the opposite effect. But you know, it would be, because the water and the air trapped within the circles, the balls, it will technically, the air will act like a spring, like in a weapon. As soon as the lever or the trigger is moved, then one of the balls, or one at a time though, will float up. Um, all the way till it reaches the top. So technically, the the bottom section could be airlocked. So it could be loaded until, well, basically it'll go like in the bottom. It could have like a um, kind of like magazines, like in a weapon, and the bullets, instead of bullets, there will be magnets with, think about like the bullet head as a magnet, and the bottom section like the air pocket, the cylinder, which will cause the magnet to float all the way to the top. Okay, so then um, it will seal off from the top to prevent the tube water from falling down. Then a new magazine will be introduced. It will be sealed, or yeah, it will be sealed tight. Then the door will open again, and one at a time, like on the trigger of a bullet, the magnets will float. And as they fall down, they could be reloaded. The reloading process, it doesn't require any springs like a weapon. Think about it. They would just get they would just get stacked up um, effortlessly. Then once they are loaded, the very top of it can be, well, once it just goes to the bottom, it will automatically get filled up with water, the whole magazine. And while it's doing that, there's a bunch of other magazines. So the machine is running and it's doing that 24/7. That will be similar to a perpetual motion type of generator. And that's the only thing really that I can think of that will technically work. Um, so, I mean, this thing is not up to scale, and I'm not trying to, scale up or down. But that's really all I can think of. Because these people are spending a lot of money on windmills, neglecting, neglecting the life of birds, animals, and shit like that. It's like we don't give a fuck as long as we're getting ours, just like everyone else in the world. Unfortunately, but with this machine, this approach, it should give us an unlimited amount of energy that will be practically free and very simple to build. I wish that I knew how to write invention like diagrams, like blueprints and stuff like that, but I don't. So therefore, I will just verbally describe this idea like I do with all my other ideas. For someone who who has the money to either pay someone to draw this out for them and patent it and sell it or just build it for themselves. Uh, you know, that's the way that I've been um, basically sharing my ideas openly with everyone in the world so far. It's like, to me, it's like going back to school and just learning. It's all research and development. That's all it fucking comes down to. Because we can't do everything in this world. There's just, the world is too complicated. It's too complex. It's not complicated, it's too complex. And it was obviously not built overnight. Everything that we built as humans, we did not build it overnight. It took time. So I'm hoping that someone, will be able to think about all this logic and maybe even present it to math math magicians or math like mathematical, like philosophers or whatever, because we're talking about numbers here. We're talking about negative and positive energy. We're talking about generating electricity, which is all math. It's, and the computer will know about it. It's like owning solar panels. A lot of you out there You own solar panels. All you guys have to do is go on your phone, and it tells you exactly how much energy you have generated during the day for any given day, and a bunch of more other data. But that's all you guys really know. A lot of you don't know how the goddamn things work or function or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's all math. But that's something that the computers will be able to handle, which is all scripts, like JavaScript and a bunch of other, techie stuff for smart people. So this is not for someone that is not fully educated or whatever. This is for someone that this is for like the whole world, students, philosophers, whatever. So we could all consider and evaluate whether either yes, it will work, or no, it will not work. And once we, you know, think it through, once we think it through, we will be able to either rethink the way that we want to generate electricity or not. It's either we are going to conclude no, it's better to generate electricity the conventional way, like the way that we've been doing it. Think that makes sense? Or you know what? Francisco has a point, and it's scientifically proven with a bunch of research and research and stuff that this will in fact generate more electricity. And also thinking about the costs of the machines to operate the machine, to keep it running and stuff like that. Um, we have to see and evaluate if it's even worth it or not. But I honestly was just sitting here and I just, it made me think about that again. So, I mean, I really don't know what the future holds. A lot of people are, they're messing around with the computers. So, you know, they're building like full blown scales of stuff on the computers. So the computers will be able to tell us whether this idea will work or not. Um, and a bunch of other data is there to assist us, especially with, just the internet. All the information that's there, will be able to assist us to reveal to us if doing something like this is worth it or not. But my hope is that it will. Because then we will be able to power every home in the world, every vehicle in the world, our cell phones, um, the moon, Earth's moon. We will be able to power places in the world that have never experienced or had any type of electricity, power. And I was kind of tripping out because I'm gonna change the subject a little bit. Um, in the Bible in Revelation it says that God's throne. God is energy, and the Bible says His face is like the sun. There's a rainbow. There is rain like a waterfall, but it's rain. There's thunder. And when God speaks, it's like many waters. There is a lot we don't understand yet. And it would be pretty awesome to see a digital, illustration of that. Because, in the past, people would draw stuff, people would sketch it, people would paint it. Eventually, people started fucking around with like Photoshop, photo editing apps, and they would paint digital ones. But what about like a movie one? And I just thought, what about a real, like, replica here on Earth of that? Like, how would that even look like? Well, we kind of know because it's described in the Bible. But not just that, but I think I think I just need to end my video now.